Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, God.
Right here in your living room or on your phone or in the toilet where you're probably watching this video right now. That's
I'd
right.
like to know the ratio of people
Toilet watchers?
who see us on the toilet.
I do some toilet watching myself.
Yeah, what else you gonna do on there?
I mean, like, I
Can't
don't
just sit there and contemplate life. That's not a thing.
So why, before you get a new guitar, you need to upgrade your amp.
Yeah, absolutely you do.
Upgrade that amplifier.
Upgrade your
That's
amp.
probably the most important thing you can do to
This
change.
is the way.
Wait, that's from The Mandalorian, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I was like, man, that's like a weird flashback from my alter life, I thought. I finished watching The Bad Batch recently too, which was really,
Was it good?
It was good. It's a lot of fun.
I've had that saved forever and I haven't
Watch
watched
it. Watch it. Your kids will love it.
Okay.
No, the amp is. It's the end result of everything. It's perfect. The transition you watch from like beginner amps to like finale amp, and what it can do for your tone.
I feel like it changes your tone so much more than your guitar. More than your pickups, more than anything else. If you got a great amp, it's just better.
It's not as much fun to upgrade. You think.
You
think. You think that's
because you think in your head, oh, it's not as sexy.
It's just
oh,
another
blah,
brown
blah.
box or an orange box or a black box or.
Now, to be fair, we've both been on amp kicks.
Well, because like we realized this way.
We have. We had an awakening.
There's an awakening, an epiphany. Like we've joined the cult.
Yeah.
We're cultists of amp goodness. So let's start you at the beginning. You're a new guitar player. Let's just start with like. Let's say you got a great guitar. Your first guitar is a classic vibe Squire.
Sweet.
Stratocaster.
Done.
Like a 60s or 50s version.
Stick a fork in it. You're done.
I was like, I was going, that's a horrible, you'll electrocute yourself. Don't do that, children.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't, but
If it's plugged in, you might. If it's the wood, you're fine. Anyway, you start with that, and then you're going to start with probably like a Champ 20 or something, which is actually a great starter amp.
It's not bad at all.
You might start with what I started with, which was a Walmart stereo, which I jerry-rigged to plug my amp and my guitar into.
I had this horrible little green Randall.
Ooh, that's nice.
Green Randall solid state. I was like, this is the best thing ever. Yeah, no.
I upgraded to a Gorilla amp,
Ooh.
which I still have to this day. It's in the teaching studios next door.
It's actually in my little teaching
Scott Grip modded it.
Yeah.
I have a modded Gorilla amp.
One of a kind.
It might be. It's not for sale. It's priceless, or $25 to the highest bidder. So you start with that, and like that's kind of your scratch tone. You have that for a bit. It's pretty terrible, but you're gonna learn to play guitar on it.
Nice and tinny.
Where do we go from there?
I think you're probably gonna bump up to something. I don't know, maybe like a Blues Junior.
So you're going all the way Blues Junior.
Yeah.
So we're gonna skip like the modeling amps like that are sort of in that low range. The Champ 50 XL is wonderful. It's sort of in the same world.
It is wonderful actually, and if you could start with that, goodness, that's way
Like
better.
$229 right now?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So that's not bad. But you're gonna do the modeling thing. You're gonna be like, oh, this, Mustang GT 100, blah 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 blah, is just like the tube amp. It's gonna be great. I get every sound ever. You're gonna do it, but.
Yep. Anyway, so you're under your Blues Junior, or you're in the Blues Junior into like the hot rod world.
Yeah.
That's like they're not cheap anymore. Like, but Blues Junior is still in that sort of 500 range.
Right.
The
Nothing
hot
crazy.
rods are getting up there closer to 800.
Maybe a used hot rod.
Back to 500.
So
you're in a good range here. That's going to change your world.
That yeah, totally.
And I hate to say this, as a person who sells things, that might be the end of your journey.
It absolutely could be.
And it could be, and you could be completely happy for the rest of your life.
I remember taking my Randall to Myrtle Beach, to Dick's Pond, with my good friend James Croom in high school.
Good name.
It was a great name. And then I found a used Hot Rod DeVille 410, traded the Randall, gave them all the cash that I had, put the Hot Rod DeVille in my trunk. We drove home, plugged it in. I'm playing. And James, who does not play guitar, or was kind of learning at the time, he's like, man, did you get a lot better? Or was your other amp just that shitty? And I was like, yeah. No, the amp was just that bad.
Yeah, it is. That's a transformative moment for you right there. Or maybe you got better. You got like superpowers from Myrtle Beach.
No.
Myrtle Beach is amazing.
I mean, it's possible.
If you haven't been to Myrtle Beach, go to Myrtle Beach.
Go to Myrtle Beach.
It's like, you might be like, I'm going to go to Florence, or I'm going to go to Milan. Nope, Myrtle Beach. It's wonderful.
It's like the Milan of the South. That's what people say all the time.
Don't go to like
So
Charleston or
much culture.
Savannah. Go to Myrtle
Beach.
It's awesome. It's got nice beaches. It's also got fun stuff like go-karts and like hot air balloons and and muggings.
Muggings.
and all sorts of fun stuff. It's a fun
Alligator
place.
parks.
Yes.
All sorts of things.
Anyway, no, so you got that, like, and that amp like is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
The next step up from there would be, we're just living in Fender world right now, but we'll jump out of that in a minute.
Fender's nice, right? Because it's easy to like just see how it scales up.
It scales. Now you're jumping into sort of their classic tube sort of reissues, like the Princetons, the deluxe reverbs, and the old glorious Twin and the Super. The deluxe is where I tend to go.
Yeah.
When I'm going in there. I had a red knob Twin though. That was my sort of first real major amp when I was a young person, around 15 or 16. It was glorious.
I want to point something out about our journey so far. We have gone from seemingly the most options to you get in that deluxe Twin, maybe Princeton world, the least options. Like you just plug in and there's a volume and there's a little reverb. Do you know what I mean? Like, because you think when you start, oh, I want every effect and I want 15 channels and I want it to be like a Twin and like a Tweed and like a Marshall and like a Mesa Boogie all on the little knob. And then you realize, no.
You want volume faders. Like they go up and down.
Like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but so, and then as you scale up, you don't even have a master volume and you just realize there's something kind of pure and awesome and amazing. And I mean, obviously if we were talking about an actual Mesa or Orange or something, maybe you've got some more options, but not necessarily better.
No, because one of my favorite amps that I do own is that little Gibson 5-watt amp that I have. I have it in my apartment, and it lives next to my couch, and I have my guitars always plugged into it, and then it sounds glorious.
Glorious.
It's a little tube amp with a volume on it.
Especially in there with the natural reverb.
I have a big living room with just no...
hard surfaces.
I don't believe in furniture like normal people do. I just like...
Just amps.
It's like an open big room. It is
just lounges on amps.
It's like a 20-foot room or something. I think it's it's a 25-foot room. It's big.
There you go.
It's but it's and tall ceilings and brick wall.
It's true.
And wood wall. Yeah. And wood wall. Anyway, so it sounds good. No reverb. Great amp. But anyway, you're in that deluxe Princeton Twin Super. Those amps, they're like Jonathan said, they're very simple, built from the 60s and 50s styles. Even the Tweeds can live in this world too.
True.
And then if you have that, you've definitely reached the sort of place where you could stop forever.
You could stop forever and have amazing, immaculate, glorious tone.
Or...
but wait.
You could continue into what Jonathan has fallen into this trap now.
It's a sickness.
So how many of these Magnatones do you own now?
Do you want me to answer honestly?
Yeah, how many Magnatones do you own?
3.
You own 3 I think that's a lot of one amp to own.
I have a problem. I just have issues.
And they're all different.
They're all very different. Really, so two new ones, right? And the Magnatones live in sort of like there's a Marshally world and there's the brown, sort of tweedy kind of thing world. And I have one of each of those. And my wonderful wife bought me a vintage one that belonged to Mr. Mike Campbell.
Which is amazing.
It's pretty awesome.
That's pretty good. Do you gig with that one yet?
I haven't yet, but because I need to order a road case for it. But it's about the only thing I play at home. I just plug
really
into
cool.
it all the time.
So now we've entered the boutique amp world.
Yeah.
And that's something I avoided for decades. I did. I was like, no, I'm staying away from it. Then I stepped my foot in there, and it messed me up.
Even when I met you, you were sort of not anti-boutique. You were just like, I don't need that. I need a Fender.
Boutique guitars really have to wow me.
Right.
They really have to like I've played a lot of them, and everything under the sun. Like if it doesn't.
So the handful that I've seen you react to, I'm like, whoa, that must be really good.
Or maybe I'm just persnickety, and I'm a jerk. I am.
I mean,
but I'm not bypassing Voxes because I love Voxes.
Right.
I'm a Vox dude, and like orange amps are amazing too if you have the right one.
And we could do the same. We just happen to be very familiar with Fender, and we have lots of Fenders, so we could have done this with any of these lines.
And Mesa lives in that sort of Vox orange.
Yeah.
World as well. Like a little bit. The Mesa sort of bridges the gap between the truly boutiques and then now Magnatone's got a higher output production now than a lot of the other boutiques.
Yep.
Because they sell through Sweetwater, and now Andertons you can get there as well, which is pretty awesome. We're excited. So Andertons, welcome to the family. That's awesome, and congratulations Magnatone for getting there as well. That's a big deal.
That is a huge deal.
So now lots of strange Brits can be playing these beautiful American amps.
Good old Magnatones.
Yeah, they're such pretty amps.
They are.
That tremolo vibrato stuff is unreal.
It's just gorgeous.
It's unreal. I don't even like effects, and that just wows me. But that's part of it. Magnatone, like when you get a first Magnatone, you're like, oh, no. How could this get any better than what I've been playing for?
I'm going to tell you, you could run 3 of them at the same time. which is ridiculous.
No, yeah, I mean, there is something. There's this weird tone. I'm not saying because I still will hold up. Like I play lots of vintage Fenders, can't beat those for what they do.
No, they're amazing.
And a lot of the reissue Fenders, I love them too. They live in that same world as with these other amps that we're entering into now. It's just a new palette.
That's right.
Going to open your when you're ready for it to, financially as well, because they're not cheap. This is not your starter amp, and like there's a whole swath of great amps in that sort of price range. Because then we're gonna take it to the next level.
Oh my!
And this is when you jump into that sort of 2-rock, and like we've already passed Friedman's at this point. Because I'd say like Magnatones and Friedman's kind of dance in the same world a little bit.
They live in that same sort of
price range.
Just price range, yeah.
Different things entirely.
Some of the Friedmans get up there pretty good too.
And I love car amps too. Car
amps are amazing.
One of my favorites, and that's the price range that's still affordable because they're low powered compared to when 2-rock you get into like completely hand done components, hand built, everything to it. Loud, powerful amplifiers, it can ruin you. These amps are not for the faint of heart. And I mean, you're averaging, like if you average them across the board, you're just a $5,000 amplifier.
Yeah, man.
And that's
for a head sometimes. Just
yeah.
Most of them you can get for the head of the cab for $5,000.
Nah, not anymore. No, I mean like
trying to make it sound better.
You can if you get like the 112.
Yeah.
And you get in the lower powers maybe sometimes. Well, no, they don't charge you different for the powers, but you can get some of the studio signatures and some, the Burnsides.
Start getting into like the Bloomfield drive.
The Bloomfield, then the Sterling. It's expensive. These are expensive. But when you play one, which I made the mistake of playing one, when a friend of ours, Terry, brought one in.
Yep.
Concrete Man Terry brought one in, and I played. I was like, oh no, how does this do this? This is that sound I've been looking for. And I tweaked the knobs, and I was like, that's the sound I've been looking for too. And then you can spend countless hours just tweaking it. Like it's so interactive, and it's so warm. And like for someone who doesn't like pedals, it just because I'm lazy, it.
But there is something when you get into buying amps, you realize that some of the sounds that you're trying to get to with pedals, it was just you just needed a different, not necessarily even a better amp, just a different amp.
Correct.
They just and that's the thing we're saying about maybe think about upgrading your amp instead of your guitar, because it changes the game. I spent years probably switching guitars and being like, oh, this kind of sounds the same. And pedals, right?
Yeah,
and I love pedals, and I'm still using a ton of pedals, but sometimes you just need different.
Well,
set
you
of
just do that
tubes,
switching pedal game so much too, like,
Right.
and then you finally settled in on tone too, because you love it a lot. And it just works with your, your tone too.
That's right.
And once you figure out the effects loop
in the Magnatone, I've never really used an effects loop amp, well, I've had amps with effects loops and just kind of ran in, cleanish and ran into the front end, but yeah, now running the little Super 15 with the effects loop going.
No, and if you're looking, like Jonathan said, like if you're looking for something with just a different tonality, give you something different, and you're playing a Fender, get a Vox. Try a Marshall.
That's right.
Try an Ignator. Like try something like,
And don't make the mistake that I made. Try it for a few minutes and be like, oh, this is just not my thing. Because they interact and they work so differently. You need to spend enough time with it that you understand what it does. Don't try to make it do the same thing your Fender does, because it doesn't do
I did
that.
not like Magnatone Super 15s for that reason. Like I first tried, I was like, yeah, it's too gritty.
I was the same way.
I was like, it's too, you can't get a good clean tone out of it. I was thinking, then like, oh, you can.
You start to understand what it does and how it works. You can do it.
And it just needs a little tweaking. So like, just let the amp journey be maybe the most fun journey you have, because once you get your guitars you love, you're good. Like you can keep adding more, but
the amp journey makes you love your guitars more. Because I think we both love our guitars, right? And then having different amps to switch out makes you just be like, oh God, it's made me fall so much more in love with my Strat and the 335 and the Tele, if that's even possible.
Yeah.
Because they just do different things in the different amps.
So enjoy the journey and start that journey. Have fun with it, and let us know like your experience with it and how you've had a good time.
Yeah, like if you've started somewhere and ended up at some cool boutique company, or
you've ended up with I've ended up back at Fender a lot of times too. Like it all goes back. I have all these great amps, and I'll be playing. The one I play the most is that little 5-watt Gibson.
I mean, it was just super cool. There's so many ways to do it, right? You go into vintage, maybe you get an old cool super reverb.
Mainly because it's in my house where my kids are too, and I can just my apartment thing, and I can play, and it's little. It doesn't destroy their ears.
Well, see, I played my little Super Comet in the house for that reason because it
perfect.
sounds amazing. Same thing. It looks cool. Christy doesn't mind it in the living room.
It's not a black box.
Right.
Mine's a little tiny thing. Exactly. Our
Yeah.
wives don't kick it out.
It has to look slightly furniture-like.
Share your experiences,
the key.
furniture lovers. That's a great excuse too.
There you go.
Take us home, Johnny.
Honey, we could set the TV on this. All right, hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell so you don't miss videos in the future. We'll see you guys next time.